Hey, how's it going? It's Peter Glassford, Bike Skills Project. We're here today and we're talking about how to get our bike ready for a gravel race. Obviously we want to do a bit of a bike check anytime we ride, but if we're going to go gravel racing, especially on our cyclocross bikes, there's a few things that we might want to look at. The big thing for most people is like, how are you going to carry your water in your bottles? On my Trek Crockett here, I actually have 2 bottle cages, so I'm pretty fortunate, but I do need to put those on, and as I always reap on my clients is to really train like that. So we want to get out there, practice having those 2 bottles. What does the bike feel like when we have 2 bottles? Do our cages hold the bottles, over bumps and the washboard stuff we're going to see in the race? In terms of actually checking the bike, our big things are making sure that our pads on our cross bike are aligned, especially for us using the older brakes. We're not using the disc brakes. That pad alignment can make a huge difference in how they sound, how they brake. Which is going to be important in some of those races for sure, and also preventing a flat or something perhaps from it wearing. So I always like to check just that pad is aligned properly once we're actually squeezing the lever and getting that pad on the rim. The other main thing you're always going to want to make sure is that the standard just is are your handlebars tightened. I like to do sort of that actual physical test of it, but certainly just doing a bolt check on all the main bolts on your bike, not turning every bolt, but making sure that all those bolts are snug. A torque wrench is going to help, but just making sure that they're snug and doing the important sort of physical test is going to take care of a lot of the mishaps. Generally it's more things like the bars flipping forward and the stem, so those stem bolts are important that when we go down those mud chutes or really bumpy, we hit the pothole, that our bars aren't going to flip, and that might not be falling, but you're going to have to race the rest of the race with your hoods pointed downward or stop for that. Same token, your seat, same thing's going to happen. If we've been riding the trainer, maybe changed our seat over the winter or something, if that seat isn't tightened down, potentially we're going to hit a bump and that seat's going to go. So checking those seat post bolts are really tight. Generally those have a pretty high torque rating, so you can really go with that. The seat post clamp bolt generally doesn't have as high, so again that's a sort of making sure it's snug. And then the big one, which I always get in trouble with historically, is that my pedals. Some of us are traveling to these races, and often we screw those pedals in and don't really, I'll tighten them later. Never do that. But get that 8mm wrench or your pedal wrench out and just make sure that those pedals are snugged on, because nothing ruins your day like a ruined crank. It's quite embarrassing. From there, the other thing I always like to make sure are my spare tubes holding air. So I actually pump mine up and leave them overnight to make sure that they're good. But by the same token, are your tires in good shape? Give it an inspection. Are those tubes in good shape? Obviously holding in air while you're riding is very important to a successful day. And the last thing, probably the most important thing, is your chain super worn? Have you been riding that chain in the on the salty roads and stuff in their spring? If that's true, I've been seeing a lot of broken chains, in these early season efforts, early season events. We finally get it on that hill. So it might be worth taking your bike into a shop if you're not familiar with your chain and your drivetrain. Maybe getting a new chain. We get a lot of miles logged on there pretty quick, and then the salt and the rust and stuff doesn't help. And again, we don't want a broken chain in that first event. So giving your drivetrain some love, at least a good cleaning, and a look over, and just sort of thinking back, like when was the last time that chain and when those rings got replaced, or at least some good love and cleaning. So that's sort of your basic bike check. Good luck in your early events.